Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my co-host,
Mike Cunningham.
and we are the Meddling Kids. And today we'll be reviewing Cocaine Bear. It's a bear on cocaine. In case you weren't sure what the movie was about.
I feel like that's all that was pitched.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was just like, all right, make that movie.
Make that movie. Dude, there may have been some questionable substances going on in the,
It was just two words.
Yeah.
Monkey in a hat. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. That's amazing. Do it. This is amazing. We had cat in the hat. Now we have monkey in a hat. Okay. Now we need bears. And what do bears like? Bears love cocaine.
Sugar. Booger sugar.
Exactly. Bears are in mountains.
Boo-boo.
Bears are in mountains. What do you do in mountains? You ski. Oh, skiing. Anyway. But yeah, so for those of you just joining us, we are the Meddling Kids, and we like to review movies. So today we'll be reviewing Cocaine Bear. Do not worry, while we're recording this, it just came out yesterday/today. So for the first 5-10 minutes of this, we will not be spoiling anything. What we'll do is we'll give you a spoiler-free review, and then from there, we'll give you some background on the movie and our play-by-play, kind of like you were in the movie there with us, and all of our thoughts as it goes along. And boy, howdy, did I have a few thoughts about this movie. Boy, howdy. Mike, you ready to get started?
Yes, boy, howdy.
All right, give us a spoiler-free review, sir. Go for it. Cocaine Bear.
All right, Cocaine Bear. I feel like there's not much to spoil. It's a very simple concept.
Yes.
It's based on, like, it's the not the tagline, but the poster says inspired by true events.
Yeah.
I'm getting, as we're doing more and more of these these reviews, and like I've always loved movies, obviously, but it was just like the words that are used are like either inspired by true, based on true events. It's always something like this may have happened. Like, so it's just.
I remember seeing there was something where a cocaine ate a bunch of bear.
Right, that makes sense.
Cocaine.
That's the movie I would have seen. Sentient
cocaine. No, a bear ate a lot of cocaine and like OD'd. But I remember seeing something about that.
So it was just, that's what I'm saying. There's not much to spoil because it's just a crazy concept. But I think it came in like the marketing scene very much in the 80s. I mean, it was based in the 80s. So it was like very much like the same kind of retro marketing that Stranger Things does, and Wonder Woman 1984.
People love synth pop. All right, you get that synthesizer going.
And like I said, it's a crazy concept. So it's just like I think they leaned into it at least in the marketing a bit. Yeah. But then it was just like I can tell they're not gonna go all out.
Okay.
It. Yeah. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest drawbacks. Is that they either lean into this craziness of a Cocaine Bear or don't. Yeah. And I feel like they did kind of hobble themselves in a way. And also I feel like since it was a interesting concept, I'm trying to use better, more progressive.
There you go.
Since it was a interesting concept, there wasn't much story to it either. So it was just like the climax or the conclusion was very much like, all right, what's going on? What are we doing here?
Yeah, the story was very light. It was like, what in the world? Yeah,
I think it's just like that's the problem. It was just like it could have been, and it was like it's an hour and a half, but it could have been like 45 minutes. Short.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it was like the big scene from the trailer when like the bear falls, or they see that the fact that the bear is on coke, and it was like, what's going to happen here? It was like that seemed like a huge part of the film, and it was just like I can tell that this is like this part right here is like what they're. So it was just like it was a little empty. It was fun at times, but then it I think it ran out of those moments. I didn't think it was going to be as gory, and I wish I would have realized.
Cocaine Bear, how could that not be gory?
It would have really helped my mental health if I would have known going in it was going to be as gory as it was.
Fair.
I hate going into a regular movie, covering my eyes like a coward. But no, so all in all, I never remembered to actually give it a damn rating. I would say 2.5. Okay. Like I said, I think it was fun. It went on a little bit like I can't even say nothing about the performances because it was just like it might as well have been an SNL skit or something like that. It was very much like improv, and the only thing you're going on is this bear is weird. Yeah, no, it makes sense. There's something wrong with this bear. Yeah, because they try to have like emotional depth to it, like with the mom in there, and then like the drug dealers and like that story, and it was just like. It's cocaine. Like, why are we really getting this deep?
They tried, and it was so lacking. Some of that deeper stuff. You're just like, all right, keep this thing moving, right? Like
the runtime. Come on. Yeah. So I'd say 2.5. It was fun, weird concept, but it could have been like handled a lot better. And yeah, 2.5.
Perfect.
I was gonna say 2, but I'll bump it up just because of the wildness of the just the concept.
Yeah. So for me, I'm always going to say there is an art to making a bad movie. All right. And then that's why Cocaine Bear to me is a good bad movie. Because
See, I think the opposite. That's what I'm saying.
It's a
It was
bad
just like
movie?
you could have leaned into it being like a B. What is it? Is it
like a B movie?
Yeah, a B movie. You could have. That's what I think Shyamalan did that with one of his. Oh, later he said it was like a B movie, or maybe no, James Wan. Sorry,
Okay.
with Malignant that came out a few years ago.
Haven't seen it. Yeah.
It's basically homegirl had she Voldemorted herself. It was super weird. But it was just like, I think he leaned into the B moviness when it got the reaction it did. I don't think that was the original idea.
Fair,
the same thing with like I talked to my homeboy about like The Room.
Where The Room.
Where it was just like
that good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think with this one, I don't think they didn't lean into the B moviness of it. But once I interrupted your sorry,
no, because I think like you look at like Sharknado, right?
Yes.
Like what a ridiculous concept! A tornado
Just
picks
2
up a
words.
bunch of sharks. Boom, and that's basically the same. Of like Thanksgiving, which we have reviewed as well.
But
granted,
even that one knew what it was.
So much more into it. Yeah, that leaned into.
I feel like that was more of a budget thing than anything.
Yeah, that was like I think they were in college when they made that movie. Yeah, but so I would put it as a good bad movie because I think they knew what they were doing. They knew this was going to kind of be out there, but it was entertaining. It was an entertaining movie. I like it. As Mike said, there was gore. You have to be okay to laugh at gore or seeing something happen, which is kind of that uncomfortable laugh when this slight spoiler, I guess, when a dude falls out of a tree and like it's all funk and like you're like, oh god, I kind of chuckled a little bit because it's either that or be terrified of what you just saw. So I'm going to choose to go humor.
Something like that changes a man.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. So I'm going to give it for what it is. And it's not a good movie from like a plot perspective, but I was entertained. I'm going to give it a 3 because I enjoy dumb, pulpy, ridiculous movies.
Originally I was going to be at a 3, but it was just like, it didn't, like I said, it didn't lean into the being bad.
Fair. Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I had to take it away. Because I feel like as we talked, it was like, you linked it to like your Sharknadoes and these movies that was like, we know what we're
Piranha 3D.
Or what is it? Birdemic?
Yeah, exactly. So that's my worry with this movie is I think there's going to be a sequel and the sequels are just going to go, just like Sharknado. First Sharknado, it's a pretty solid bad movie.
Yeah, because they'll get more budget.
Exactly. And they just make it even more ridiculous. How can they get the kill count higher? How can it be even bloodier and gorier? This was a silly movie. I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 3. All right. So before we get into our background and our play-by-play, this is the end of our spoiler-free review. If you decide that you would like to see this, honestly, I think we both say, hey, it's fun. Go see it.
Like I said, it was fun.
Yeah. So if you want to go see it without the spoilers, by all means, honestly though, even if we spoil anything, it doesn't really take anything.
It's away Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear.
All right. They're not adding it to the MCU.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: people are going to die in this movie. But before we get to our background and play-by-play, quick word from our sponsors. I'm Edward Hunt. I'm on the Just Be team with Compass, and we are a nationwide brokerage. If you have any questions or want any advice on the real estate market, please feel free to hit up either the 2 Meddling Kids or me personally. And if anyone from listening to our podcast, you think we have a pretty good vibe, we had a T-shirt. People reach out to us a while ago. Didn't work out, but they were like, hey, we like your vibe. Maybe you could rock some of our stuff. Didn't work out, but similar thought process. We're always down for it. All right, Mike. Background. What do we got on this thing?
Okay. Cocaine Bear came out in the year of our Lord 2023.
Hallelujah.
on February 24th. It runs at an hour and 35 minutes.
Yep.
I would say it's a little too long.
Fair.
But okay, the budget was between like 35 and 39 million.
Okay. Yeah.
Which
it was a pretty crappy CGI bear.
Yeah,
the CGI bear was pretty trash.
It depended on what it was. So if it was I think sometimes close up it was fine.
Yeah.
I think in those wider shots, maybe in the dark, it was bad.
Yeah.
In the sunlight, it was
bad. A lot of times that was just bad.
Yeah. But I think it did have that kind of aesthetic of the 80s.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
a bit. I think maybe they could have done better with maybe like the wardrobe. Because it was like what says the 80s. You can't like it's not like they're gonna put a certain tone on the camera or something like that.
Well, yeah, they had the music and then the wardrobe. I think a lot of the wardrobe was pretty, at least for like a lot of the side characters, like the Chuchos gang.
Yeah. That's what them like for the most part. It was like I guess they would, but it was like I think it did look good though.
Yeah, for sure.
So we don't have box office numbers because it just came out, so we'll see. I think it's projected to make maybe 15 to 20 mil this weekend.
Okay, cool.
I don't know because our theater was pretty empty. Granted, it was it was like right after the work
5
day.
o'clock on a Thursday.
So maybe that leans into it, or maybe it's just one that people don't really see. Ant-Man and Wasp is still out. I don't know if it's going to do well its second weekend, but there's not much out anyway.
Yeah.
So it might just, it might do the Avatar 2 thing, which there's nothing else out. So
might as well see Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Take your kids. Don't take your kids. Do not take your kids to see Cocaine Bear.
Put you on a damn list. The Rotten Tomatoes score currently, once again, it'll be in flux. It just came out. Is at 71 critics, 81 with audience. But
81 with audience, yeah.
I think this might be. I don't know. This could they might drop it out of theaters really quickly. I don't think it might be like you said, it might be that, but also Sharknado, I don't think it came out in theaters. It was on Sci-Fi.
Was Sharknado straight to Sci-Fi?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Sure. I mean, I was like 7 when that came out.
If Cocaine Bear is going to live in that realm or like have that audience, you don't need it to be in theaters too long.
Oh yeah, well, all of the sequels are going to be direct to video. All right, they're actually going to make VHS.
Straight to VHS,
straight to VHS,
like the old school Disney sequels.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't realize that until I got older. It was like all the Disney sequels, like Aladdin and all.
Yeah.
That. Straight to deep.
I had Aladdin.
I do, and I missed that. Coming soon to VHS.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Aladdin and the Den of Thieves. Bang!
Was that it came out?
There was a bang in
Aladdin.
That was the one. It was a good Aladdin.
We got off the genre is comedy thriller. Heavy on a damn thriller.
A little bit of extra gore and stuff for thriller too.
Yeah. So it's directed by Elizabeth Banks, who also, I think her first directorial thing was Pitch Perfect 2.
Okay. Yeah.
And then she did the Charlie's Angels reboot that did not do
I didn't
well.
See it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it didn't do good.
Though I will always know Elizabeth Banks as JD's baby mama from Scrubs, and that's when I fell in love with her. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Elizabeth Banks was like, it seems like she does very well on camera. Behind the camera, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Granted, she's only had 2. This is her 3rd film. I think she did one of the skits in the movie 43, but that's a movie that nobody.
Yeah, movie 43 was another movie, man. Yeah, that was a movie.
See, that's one. It was like I didn't understand what the critics didn't get.
Yeah,
that's one of those.
When they call it so bad. Yeah,
it was just like that was bad on purpose. But so yeah, she doesn't have too many. She's executive produced a lot of stuff.
Fair,
but she only has 3 films technically under her belt, and they seem to be getting. So Pitch Perfect 2 was like it wasn't as good as the first Pitch Perfect. I did better.
Okay,
I guess. It was commercially successful, but I don't think critically. A lot of those sequels went down, and she didn't do the 3rd one. And then Charlie's Angels, like we said, that was fairly a flop because I don't think she got the concept of Charlie's Angels. And this one, we'll see. I don't see it doing amazing.
Yeah, but it was fun. This wouldn't be a bad thing to have on your resume. I don't think it's not going to take anything away from you.
No. Yeah, and then she's still early in her career.
For sure.
This is starring Kerry Russell as Cerie. O'Shea Jackson Jr. as David. Christian Convery as Henry. That was a little boy.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Sweet Tooth. It's a Netflix show about hybrid kids. They're like half.
Based on the comic.
Yeah.
I have not seen the show. I've read some of the comics.
It was really good. I enjoyed it. But it's funny. I thought he was the kid from the young Ryan Reynolds from the Netflix movie that they did.
Yeah.
I thought that was him because it was like he was trying so hard to be funny. I think. Obviously, it's a comedy, so it's like there's no comedic character. They're all
Yeah.
That's like when I think Pitch Meetings did the pitch meeting for the Ghostbusters movie with all the women.
Okay, yeah.
And he was like, so which one is the comedic relief? All of them. And I think that's what kind of this movie was. But the little boy, it seemed like he was trying to tell, he just could not deliver.
No, not really.
He's a fairly decent dramatic actor. Like Sweet Tooth is fairly good.
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't see he didn't do well.
He felt like one of the weaker people, honestly, in it. But yeah. But I'm glad he did well.
A lot of damn lines for this kid, too.
Yeah.
Alden Einwright as Eddie. That's obviously a young solo.
Yep.
Jesse Tyler Ferguson as Peter. He's like the wildlife expert.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Modern Family.
Yeah. Isaiah Whitaker Jr. as Detective Bob.
Okay.
He's famous from The Wire.
Oh,
this guy says she.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, you need to have a cop that says she in movies like this.
I thought he was going to do it in this one because I feel like that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
He did it in Cedar Rapids, this movie with Ed Helms.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, that came out forever ago.
You have Christopher Haiju. He as Olaf. He's the guy with the beard. He's from Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
Tormund Giantsbane.
Yes.
That's
that kind of explains why. Okay, he looks like he's a hippie from Iceland in this movie, so different, but you can see it. Yeah.
Margot Martindale, who is a goddamn legend, and I love her.
Yeah.
As Ranger Liz, and then Ray Liotta as Sid.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. I think this is one of his last films.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the last one.
He was in the middle of another one when he died.
Yeah,
he was in his sleep, kind of randomly. It seems like.
So just like I don't think this is his last one, but it's like one last. And then the tagline for this is "Get in line."
Yeah.
Which wait, what?
Yeah, no. Honestly, I was.
And it's literally on the screen.
Because my instinct
I
is
get
to be
the
like,
line.
yeah, for sure.
I get the line part.
Okay, yeah, get in line because lines of cocaine. I've heard that.
But it was just like it doesn't really make sense.
No, yeah,
that's another thing. Like doing it, like thinking, like seeing some of the taglines that they came up with some movies. It's just like, so y'all just phoned it in that day.
Yeah, they're just like, no, just kidding. They're like cocaine lines done. Keep it moving, and you're like, all right.
I just wrote gold.
Yeah, no, I think line up for death would have been better. I'm just throwing that up. But yeah,
I would have seen something Yogi Bear, or Smokey Bear, or something. They're in the forest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So we got some background. So
the background.
Really, for our play-by-play, it's a bear on cocaine. All right, packing it up.
Boom.
Everything home. All right, have a good. We'll see you next week. You can reach us at 2 Meddling Kids now.
I feel like we are flying through this. Are we on coke? Is that
yeah. Oh my god. Well, we have to get in character. Right?
That's what it is. Really, you immerse yourself in the art.
Exactly. Before we get into our play-by-play as well, I will really say my number one reaction in my notes was, what the fuck? Like, so many times I just wrote and I was like, what is this what the fuck for? Oh, that's right. That's really
a lot of mine was, slow down, Jesus. We're not on coke.
Yeah. It was
like, especially at the beginning, they were introducing all the characters.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, that's why I was, spoiler alert, when people started dying, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
We don't have to jump back to these people.
Like, all right, we don't have to keep track of all these.
It was very much the coming down off a high of cocaine. It was like, all right, we're slowing it down. I think. All
right, so how does this movie open then?
We open up on a cargo plane.
Yeah.
This guy whose name is Andrew C. Thornton.
Okay. Yes.
Thornton, sorry. Yeah. Which is the actual the name of the guy who the movie is based on.
Yeah.
And he is super jazzed.
Oh yeah. It starts with like 80s like synth music and you're just like jazzed and ready for it. You're like, yeah, all right, what's going on?
So he's in a cargo plane, he's in the in the back part, and he's just throwing duffel bags out of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts a few bags on himself and he goes to jump out of the plane, but since he's so hyped up, he hits his
He was tasting some of the product, as one does.
Clearly.
I've heard.
And so he knocks himself out as he's jumping out of the plane.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to lie, I kind of thought that he was going to go into the propeller. This was literally what I wrote out.
Oh, wow. I was just like, starting out with that?
I thought they were going to start with that in this movie. Like, looking at this, I was like, he's going to jump out, pull the chute too early, and get sucked in a propeller. Did not happen that way, but all right.
And then right after we get a bunch of quotes about bears and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was funny because it was just like, it's these deep-ass quotes. It was like, obviously the filmmakers providing you the audience information.
Yeah.
And then the source is Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, so none. All right.
It could be, dude. Wikipedia is pretty solid. I use Wikipedia for a lot of stuff.
Clearly someone got that doctorate on the internet. So then we jump to the Chattahoochee Forest.
Yes.
And in Georgia, and it says 1985.
Yeah. Something I appreciated is every time they jumped to like the forest, they had like a new 80s synth pop. It's like every other parts of the movie felt like more like modern, but then they jumped to the forest and it'd be like, oh, nature picture, nature. Like here's a butterfly going, here's a deer, and it'd be like 80s synth pop going on in the background.
And so we meet two hikers. They're a couple, and they're talking about
doing couple stuff, gross.
Couple stuff, So they're talking about their future, like they're planning a wedding.
Yeah.
And it was like some comedic moments where it was like the groom, was the only thing he was in charge of was the band.
Yeah.
And then the band that he picked was his brother. And the bride is like, yeah, he's terrible.
Yeah, he's bad. He's very bad. He's like, he's getting voice lessons. Yeah, but he sucks though. So like, can we not use?
So it's like, yeah, we get this back and forth as they're walking through they're clearly like, like you said, I think they're European or something.
Yeah, they're from Iceland. Yeah,
Iceland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And so they're big into nature, big hikers and stuff like that. So they're walking through, and you see, they miss certain important signs, right? So it's just like they don't see that there's bear tracks.
Yep.
There's a duffel bag hanging in a tree, but I feel like in the entire film, nobody sees it.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, honestly, I didn't see the duffel bag. I saw the bear track. I did not see the duffel bag.
Yeah, there was a duffel bag in a tree, and then they get to this clearing. And obviously nature is very beautiful, so they're looking over the cliff, and as he's taking a picture, he notices a bear.
Majestic.
And like, so he's zooming in with the camera because it's far enough away where it's not where they're in any danger. But he notices the bear's a little off. It's like ramming his head into the tree. Yeah. It's kind of like
they're like, that bear's demented.
Yeah, and it was fun. It's one of those things where I just saw it on TikTok where like the different responses to a different type of bear. So it was like, if it's black, fight it.
Yep.
If it's brown, lay down.
Yeah.
If it's white,
you're dead. Polar bears fuck you up. You're screwed.
But it was just
sorry,
like,
bud. Yeah.
the comedy of the TikTok was just like, it didn't say bears.
Yeah.
It just said black, brown, white, and then responses. And I'm sitting there like, oh, that's what we do.
I'm like, oh my.
So the groom is saying these same things. It was like, that's a black bear. Oh, then they were debating on what color the bear was.
Yeah, because it's a black bear to fight. She's like, is it black? It could be brown. I'm like, well.
And so the bride runs off. The groom goes to follow her. Sorry. And I think the groom falls. The bride keeps going, and the bear just jumps on her.
Wham! Takes her out. Yeah.
And then there's a concept. I think it's every movie ever. There's you get away a little bit, but no, you get dragged right back.
Yep, absolutely.
And so she gets dragged back. You see, there's a shuffle in the bushes, and then her leg just her leg just is thrown at the.
When a movie like this, you have two options. You either laugh at it or you're like, oh my God, this is terrifying. You're awful.
It was very much like, hey, yo.
I'm like, oh, yo. I was like, I wrote in, now that's an intro. That's literally what I wrote.
I like the next part afterwards. It was just like, so obviously the bride is dead. The groom is, devastated. And then you get a close-up shot of the bear. And it was like, you could tell he's on something. Yeah. And then the title card comes up and it's Cocaine Bear. And it was like, I really like that as the intro.
Yeah. I think that's probably it. Just from that whole entire cold open sequence, they had. Yeah, that cold sequence they had to open. I'm like, all right, what you're in for.
So now we're in for it. And so right after the title card, we get this is very much 80s. It was just like these anti-drug commercials.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, this is your brain on drugs.
It's the egg that's cooking in the pan. Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, all right, take me back to the time where I wasn't alive.
This was a little before my time, but I've heard references to this.
Drugs, not sure what they are.
Yeah, exactly. I've never heard of this drug.
But so yeah, there's somebody, I don't know, flipping through channels. So there's anti-drug commercials, and then there's a news cast about a body found in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, with a bunch of different bags of cocaine on them, and then this is the Andrew Thornton.
Yeah, Andrew C. Thornton, full name.
Yes. And so then we jump to the crash site or whatever, and we meet Detective Bob. Yeah. And I don't know if it's his partner or just one of his fellow cops.
Yeah. I think that was just another fellow cop that he really liked. Yeah.
And so there's this back and forth, and there was it was like, oh, this is Andrew C. Thornton, full name. And he said, this is Thornton. Andrew C. Thornton. She was like, full name. You said you were going to say his full name.
Yeah.
And
what's the C stand for? Yeah. He just skipped right back.
I thought that was a bit of comedy. It was it could have been maybe delivered better. Or
well, I think they were trying to be awkward and weird with this, because even going forward when he's talking about the dog, he's like, "Did you have a dog? Did you play fetch with the dog?"
What I think. You couldn't tell. Like I said, I thought it was trying to be funny, not weird, awkward.
Yeah, I don't know. It came off because it wasn't very awkward interaction.
Because this guy can be very has such a range as an actor. Yeah, he can you look at this. He's playing a detective. He was so you maybe straight laced, but it was he can also do comedy. So that's what I thought it was going for. But maybe it was just being awkward.
Maybe the direction, and again, I'm not a director. I wasn't there behind the scenes, but that kind of makes me think of with this is that Elizabeth Banks was like, "Hey, be bad, like be like a bad actor for this sequence right here," because it was a weird, awkward sequence, but it kind of fit the cheesy cocaine bareness of this movie.
And so Detective Bob says he recognizes Thornton, and he says, "Oh, this is one of Sid's boys." It was Sid, played by Ray Liotta, is this drug kingpin out of St. Louis.
Yes.
And so he mentions that, obviously Thornton had a few bags, duffel bags on him, but there was probably a bunch just scattered out. Now they got to find it.
Yeah.
Because the plane, I think the plane also crashed or something like that.
Well, so the plane was, I guess the plane was going down, or he was either getting out there. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was like he mentioned that the plane was empty, so that the drugs are out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And so then we jump to St. Louis, where we meet David.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that was his name in the 1980s. But all right.
Yeah. Not touching it.
It's David, guys. Oh, Jesus Christ. That sounds like a very much millennial thing to have the name David.
Well, we gotta, be able to connect with the kids.
There it is. And so we meet David, who is a fixer for Sid. And
what's a fixer?
No idea.
Oh, okay.
It's just,
like if his oven breaks, he fixes it.
I mean, he's a fixer, man.
That makes sense. Okay, fixers. Yeah.
Resume is very versatile. But so David meets with Sid, and Sid tells him that Thornton is dead. I think because they're watching it on. Well, it's on the news. So excuse me. And so Sid says that he needs David to go pick up his son, Eddie.
Yep.
And go retrieve the drug because it's like they're from the Colombians. He can't have any mistakes.
Oh yeah,
he needs these drugs recovered. And so David then goes to a bar where Eddie is, and Eddie is very depressed because his wife had passed away.
Yeah, and he was like trying to get out of like the drug trade.
Yeah. Anyway. So he had gotten out of the drug game, like his father's family business.
Yep. Yeah.
Because his wife had encouraged him to.
Yep. And then she died.
So now his Sid is like, well, I mean, the only reason he got out of the game was because of her. Now she's gone. And so
Sid's not a good dad.
Sid's not a decent grandfather.
Yeah, but Eddie, like after Joni is his wife, after she died, Eddie just left his son with the grandfather and went off to like cry somewhere else.
And so we get a bit of a funny moment. And once again, I think it wasn't. This is why Elizabeth Banks is very funny.
Yeah, for sure.
So just like I don't think it's being awkward. I think it's attempts at comedy that just failed. But once again, that's just my perspective.
Yeah.
Because there was a moment with they're at some dive bar and he's eating pasta, and I was just like, "Oh, that can't be great."
Yeah. I thought it was mac and cheese, like a homemade mac and cheese or something like that.
No. I was like, "Oh, that can't be good." And then there was like the joke about he went to go get a tattoo of his wife's name on his chest.
Yeah.
And the tattoo artist put John instead of Joan.
Yeah.
And it was like, it could have been funnier because it was like the joke. It was just like he has to wait for it to heal before they get it fixed. It was like, now I got a week of John.
Yeah.
And it was like it was okay. Yeah. And then I think they noticed something on the news report about Thornton and the drug bust. And Eddie out loud goes, "Is that us?
Is that our guys?" Yeah. And it's like,
and
he's drunk and stupid.
Come on.
Yeah. He's like, then a random dude like.
I think this is the plot contrivances for everybody to get where they need to be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Certain things do need to be stupid.
Yep. Yeah.
And so at the same time, so we have the detective going off to Georgia.
Yep.
We have Eddie and David heading as well. And then we meet in Georgia. We meet Sari and her daughter Didi.
Yep. Rambunctious kid. Mike's favorite, rambunctious children. Those are literally his favorite things in the world. Precocious children. That's his specialty right there.
I don't want to get into it. I got to see the kids in 2 weeks. But so we meet her, and you see that like Sari is a nurse, and she's like taking some extra shifts, and her daughter was excited about going to see the waterfalls. Yes. They said paint the waterfalls. Not sure what that means, but
it doesn't seem very eco-friendly. Just throwing that out there.
Well, so that's what that was going to be their weekend plans. But Sari is dating, I guess one of the doctors at the hospital. Pediatricians, right? And the way you said it was like, all right, comment there.
No, I used to want to
he has a PhD, but all right.
I used to want to be a pediatrician. I get it. Yeah.
And so we get like this information about like her new boyfriend or whatever wants to take them to Nashville.
Yeah.
And so that's the weekend plans they had.
Yeah, but the initial plan was for them to go paint the waterfall and hang out.
And this is the first of like cut scenes they started doing, and I was just like, all right, this is some
of the cut scenes were very jarring and take you out of it.
Yeah, because it was just like it was kind of on some like Family Guy-esque type of thing cut scene, but it was just like it was very weird. Like every single one of them was weird, especially and it's funny because I noted a big one later in the movie, and I'll pick it up. But so we see that. I think the first part of the film after the Cocaine Bear title was like introducing you to the different factions. So you have the detective, you have the fixer and the drug kingpin.
Let's call them drug dealers.
The drug dealers, and then the Cerie and her daughter.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was like, and I think that's why it was so jarring because they kept jumping from Tennessee to St. Louis to Georgia and back. It was like a little difficult to take notes because it wasn't really that deep, rather than that important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so, like we said, the detective and the drug dealers are on the way to Georgia, and Cerie goes off to work, and her daughter and Dee Dee and her best friend Henry, decide to skip school.
Yes.
And so, because of the fact that Cerie changed their weekend plans, Dee Dee really wants to go paint the waterfall.
It was a bit cry for attention or something.
Yeah. It was interesting that Henry was like, "Are you just like?" He was very much the enlightened one.
Yeah, Henry's like, "Are you sure this isn't just a cry for attention from your mom skipping school? Really?" Yeah.
So they head to the kids head to the forest. And then Cerie comes home after working a double, and she notices that, she finds out that
so the phone rings, school calls her and says, "Hey, your daughter skipped." Yeah.
And so I think she calls her ex-husband or Dee Dee's father.
Yeah, the father who's not there, which is clearly some of the issues with Dee Dee and her mom. It's just never really explained. You're like, okay, kid's upset about
which is interesting because it was like in these moments where they're introduced, it was like very much a surface.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Once again, the movie was an hour and a half, so I'm curious if maybe there was more scenes with them building up these characters. But it was like, bro, it's a cocaine bear. Who gives a fuck about these characters?
Yeah, because it's that, and they're just like, we're just going to lean into tropes, right? Like, we're just leaning into character tropes. This is a girl who's upset with her mom because of the divorce, and her dad is clearly off somewhere with a new girlfriend.
Yeah, because it was like, that's who she was talking to. He was like, why do every time I call, he's in the bathroom? What's wrong with him?
Yeah.
And so she finds Dee Dee's backpack outside. Excuse me. And in there is a map of the secret forest, and it was just like circled as a secret forest. And I was like, "Really? That's how we find out?"
Yeah, that's the only way. It's the only way to know where your kids are going.
It's the 80s. That's
exactly.
There's no technology. So she heads off to the forest to go find Dee Dee and Henry.
Yes.
And then we jump to the ranger station.
Yes, this part cracked me up. It did.
I love Margot Martin, though.
Yeah, she was nice.
She's amazing in everything. She's like one of the best character actors of all time.
Yeah.
And so she gets a customer at the ranger station. Is this teenager, this real punk?
Yeah, damn teenagers.
And so he buys something, but he's also like sneaking things into his pockets.
Yeah.
And she's really not focused because a wildlife expert is coming, Peter.
Yeah, she's like getting dressed. She has like her nails done. She has perfume, lipstick. She's getting ready for someone to come in.
So she was expecting some guy to come in. So Peter arrives with the Smokey the Bear thing. He's big into wildlife and preserving it. So they were supposed to take a hike to, I guess, like patrol the.
Yeah, I think it's like patrol and just check in, see how the force is going. Here's one of I laughed so hard for this, and it was such a stupid line. When the guy Peter comes in, he's like, "Whoa, that's a dusty beaver." And, the ranger, she's like, "I'm trying to change that."
It was once again attempts at comedy, but it was just like
that. No, I cracked.
I think that one leaned into the awkwardness.
Oh yeah, the awkward like dusty beaver. That was like I have a very mature sense of humor, so that made me laugh.
And then, we have the ranger and Peter and this teenager at the station. And then around the same time, you have, what's her name? Dee Dee and Henry in the forest. They get to like some outpost, or some marker in the forest. And they find
cocaine.
A package of cocaine.
Yes. Yeah.
And... Once again, it could have been done. It's just the actor.
This was the one part where I was a little uncomfortable just because I'm a square, and I was like, I don't want to see kids try cocaine.
Yeah, so it's just like they notice what it is
Yeah.
because of the commercials. I think maybe
Yeah.
that's why they introduced the commercials earlier, and showing kind of the opposite effect that the anti-drug kind of push had.
That's what you were trying to go for.
Maybe,
yeah, maybe.
That one thing, I'm piecing things together as we talk.
Yeah.
And so Henry brags about the fact that he knows what cocaine is because he's been on the streets doing it.
Ridiculous.
He's 12, 13 years old.
Yeah,
Relax,
guy.
Yeah. And so Dee Dee challenges him to do coke. He was like, you do it, all the time. Just do it now. So and I get you.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they'd turn away or something like that. But I figured this isn't TV.
Yeah,
so
and it's also, how they did it was very stupid.
Yeah. So it was like they stick it. Once again, it was a lot.
Yeah.
But like they stick a knife into the cocaine, put a bunch on the blade.
Yeah.
And then just
they put it in their mouth.
They
like try to eat it, and then they immediately spit it out because they're like, "This is disgusting." Yeah.
And then I think they go back to where they found the package and notice that there's more.
Mm-hmm.
There's more coke, but something's gotten into it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then at the same time, we see that the bear is basically Jason.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what was very funny about this was that they very much made the cocaine bear into like a horror movie,
classic horror movie monster.
like Mike Myers or some shit like that, where he's
sure.
just lurking. It's a fucking bear.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the concept of thrills.
Bears, apex predators. All right.
But the bear attacks the kids, and then we jump away to Sari arriving at the ranger station. Yeah. And she kind of interrupts Ranger Liz and Peter's like kind of flirting.
Ranger Liz, right?
Ranger Liz.
Yeah, because she is hardcore just going after this. And then Sari comes and she's just like, get the fuck away from me. Get out of here. We don't want you here. Yeah.
And so being that she's the ranger, obviously she takes Sari into the escorts her into the forest to find Dee Dee.
Yeah, all while grumbling and kind of cussing her out, basically.
And then Sari makes a comment about the fact that Ranger Liz has a gun, and she's like, to protect, she's a peace officer or something and she mentions that there had been teenagers kind of attacking people.
I'm laughing because I was like, this is such bullshit.
Yeah.
She's just like, this is such bullshit.
It was very much like Chekhov's gun. It was just like, oh, this gun is going to be important later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so, she locks up the ranger station. They head into the forest to find the kids.
Yeah, to both find the kids and do, their nature, whatever they have to do.
And then so as soon as they kind of walk away, Eddie and David arrive at the ranger station, I think just to go to the bathroom and then start their search.
Find the cocaine. Yeah, because they're looking for the cocaine now. So.
Yeah. And so David goes into the bathroom, and this is where we get the exchange between David and the teenager, this gang, these three kids. So it's one of the teenagers that was robbing the ranger station earlier. Yeah. And then two of his friends. Mm-hmm. And so one of them has a knife and it was give me your empty your pockets.
Yeah, empty your pockets. Yeah. And I was immediately holy shit, she was telling the truth. What, there's actually a gang of teenagers. And they're just it's the 80s. So they have 80s fashion. So crop tops and shorts and painted fingernails. And I was like, this is the 80s gang? This is a gang.
That's when I see a gang with people in the 80s that had jerry curls. It was this is the most dangerous motherfucker.
And they totally are. They are. But I'm you see that and you're what the fuck?
I can't get burned about someone with a jerry curl.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't go to Jesus
but you can.
Jesus, Lord, his jerry curl was so juicy, I couldn't help myself. But so there's a fight between the gang and David, and he handles it. I mean, he has a little bit of a
there's three people,
three of them, but he knocks them all out.
Yeah.
And then realizes he's gotten stabbed.
Yeah. Just in the back, in his back shoulder blade, they're stabbed right there.
So he's in the bathroom cleaning himself up. Eddie comes in. Yeah. And he inspects the kids to make sure they're still alive. Because Eddie, I think his whole arc is the fact that he's grieving his wife and he's really he's spent time trying to get away from the family business.
For sure.
So as far as killing people, selling drugs, or just being any of this, he's really trying to separate himself. So he sees that the kids are knocked out. He was like, did you kill any of them?
Yeah.
And David's like, I mean, maybe the one that stabbed me. I don't know.
Exactly.
A lot of shit was going on.
Very true. I thought David would have had a gun on him.
That's what I assumed. That's what I assumed. But anyway, Eddie's inspecting the teenagers' bodies, he noticed that one of them has a package of the cocaine on them. So David wakes one of them up.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Where did you find this? Where did you find this?" And then there's a whole exchange, and they find out that the teenagers hid the cocaine at a gazebo in the forest.
Yes. Yeah.
So now they
grab one of them.
They task this one of the teenagers with showing them where the cocaine is. And so like you have them walk off, and I think
we flash to the cop now at this point?
No.
Yeah.
So now we flash to the ranger, Peter, and Suri.
Yeah.
They get to the same marker that Henry and Dee Dee were at, and I think she notices like the snacks that Dee Dee had packed in her lunch, and so she starts calling out for them. And Henry says, Henry is up in a tree, and he's like, he's cursing, he's freaked out because of the fact that the bear, attacked him.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
And this is when you get the next bear attack. Where he goes for Ranger Liz. I think he mauls her a bit.
Yeah, claws the crap out of her.
Yeah. And this was so funny. It was like, she's the ranger, and immediately she was like, "I'm going to get help." And I was like, what?
She's just running away.
Because she started shooting.
Yeah.
She started shooting. I think she ran out of bullets.
And she almost killed Peter.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
And so she goes back to the station to, I think, reload and get help.
Yep.
Peter stumbles upon some of the cocaine that was in the bushes. And this is where you have this funny exchange. It was like, I think he mentions they're trying to get Peter out of the tree. No, they're trying to get Henry out of the tree.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, it's too far," and he's scared. And then he goes, Henry goes, "Well, bears can't climb trees." It was like, Peter was like, "Yes, they can."
Yeah.
And then Peter immediately climbs the tree.
Well, I think Peter had climbed the tree first from the time.
Okay.
Because Peter climbed the tree to get away from the bear too. Yeah. So he's like hiding down there below. The bear's like kind of circling. Yeah. And then Henry's like, he's like, "Well, bears can't climb trees." Peter's like, "Yes, they can." He's like, "Then why did you climb the tree?"
Oh yeah.
Then why'd you climb it?
Yeah. And so the bear starts climbing the tree that Henry's in.
You have to go for Henry.
And Henry tries to climb a little bit higher. And then I think the bear, as he's climbing the tree, he sniffs and he smells that Peter, who is also in the tree, is covered in cocaine.
Because he fell into a pile of it, yeah.
So he immediately descends from the tree that Henry's in and climbs Peter's tree.
So fast. Like he was like, the bear could like kind of climb the tree Henry's in, was struggling, and the bear just like moonwalks.
This is what I kept saying every time I thought of black cocaine. I heard Thad from I said cocaine. Yeah. So this is the scene you were talking about where Peter gets attacked. He gets and then he just falls from the tree,
clunk, and like he's like head first falls, like
and then ridiculous. Shortly after his leg as well.
Yeah, and the bear just like
this
falls
bear's
right
big
on
the legs. Yeah, it kept happening.
Yeah, because that was like for me, just like the fact that the bear like ate his leg while he was still alive, like just kill him.
It reminded me of Jurassic Park, Sam Jackson.
Yeah, I have somewhere. Clever girl. Yeah. When the bear came up, when the bear was behind Ranger Liz, I was like, clever girl.
And so Peter's dead. The bears run off. Henry descends from the tree. They run off. Henry and Suri run off. And now they're like, Henry was like, Dee Dee was still alive last time. The bear just chased her,
The bear dragged her off or something.
So now Suri and Henry...
Makes no sense. Why would the bear drag her off? Okay, whatever. Movies got a movie.
Movies do have to film. And so now Suri and Henry are heading to... I think they're heading to... following the trail.
Yeah, they're heading the way that Henry pointed. The bear dragged Dee Dee that way. They're going that way.
And so...
Now we're back to Ranger Liz. Are we
now,
back to the dog? Where's the cop in this?
He's still on his way. So I think, like you said, I think because he was coming from Tennessee.
Yeah, so he's coming from further away. And the only reason I brought that up is because his damn dog storyline, he like stopped on the way.
So he stops on the way to call his fellow officer who he left the dog with.
To leave a voicemail about I realized I never said bye to the dog. And I'm like, what the fuck is this dog
and this is
storyline?
more of like this cut scene.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just like, it seemed like it was in a different film.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because all the cut scenes were, I guess, a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
I guess to show that they were somewhere else.
I think with him, they were trying to lean into like the 80s cop drama kind of thing.
Maybe.
I don't know. This was the one that was like, okay, I don't really need this part right here.
And so the ranger arrives at the station.
Yep.
After she's been mauled by the bear.
Yeah.
She reloads the gun. As she's in the station, the other two teenagers who had attacked David and got knocked out are in the station. They said that they've called the paramedics. The paramedics.
Yeah.
And you also see as Ranger Liz is loading the gun, she notices that they had robbed her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so she's freaking out, and because I think there was also some confusion because
the teenagers think she's talking about David.
Yes. So it's just like she mentions that she was attacked.
Yeah.
And the teenagers are like, "Oh, he got you too. What's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah. Meanwhile, they fucking tried to stab and kill this dude and rob him.
Are we really gonna play victim?
Yeah. Right.
You cornered a man in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so this is where you get this, I will say, a really good scene.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, so the bear has arrived at the. First somebody's at the door.
Yeah.
Right. Of the ranger station.
Yeah. Well, Ranger Liz knows it's the bear.
Ranger Liz thinks it's the bear.
Yeah.
The teenagers thinks it's David.
Yeah.
And so like. So like that's why the teenagers are confused. Like, you gotta shoot him?
Yeah, because Ranger Liz has her gun out and she's pointing it at the door.
So she's
like
standing maybe 7 feet away from the door. She's like, when I say go, open the door. She has one of the teenagers open the door, and so he opens the door. Yeah, and it's the bear. I think Pam, the butterfly, just sitting there.
He's just sitting there being a bear.
And I think Ranger Liz freaks out and fires the gun. And shoots the teenager in the head, in the back of the head.
Huge hole back of the head, wham, right into the teenagers, and like he just falls.
And
dead.
so like the other teenagers freaking out. The bear kind of runs away and climbs on top of the roof of the.
Yeah.
Somehow,
bears can climb.
And there's like this crazy scene where it's just like they hear the bear pacing on top of the roof. But you can't do anything about it. And then like I knew it was coming. Like thank God, after a while I could tell when the gore was coming. Movies do get very formulaic at times.
For sure.
So I knew something was gonna happen, and it was like the teenagers at the door. Yeah. And I think I turned my eyes, so I don't know what actually happened.
So the teenager, I think he's not even at the door, he's at like a window, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And then literally the bear paw just comes in and like grabs him by the face and like kind of like then it kind of fades out.
Yeah. So it's just like now you know that the bear has gotten into the ranger station. Yeah. And then at the same time, this is when the detective arrived.
Okay, yeah.
But it was like once again
but he can't see it. He didn't see it.
He did. Yeah, the door's closed, and it's still the Rangers. The sign that says the Ranger's gone.
And the detective arrives, and like there's a part where like the detective's like finishing a drink, throwing it away, and then like a bloody hand just like hits the window of the cabin, and the detective just didn't see it. He's like, don't know where these people are.
And so he walks off into the forest.
Yep.
I think you get another shot of David, Eddie, and the teenager. Leading them to the gazebo.
Having like a heart-to-heart moment about stuff.
Because it was... I think it's leading into this Eddie doesn't want to be a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And then also, so you have, I think, where we're at, we have the detective going into the gazebo, or just walking into the forest, actually.
The forest in general, yeah.
You have Suri and Henry on the trail for Dee Dee. They find, like, some of her paint. Yeah. And I think she was like, because Dee Dee's leaving a trail.
Yeah. Oh, that was funny when Henry was like, talking about like cocaine and like, he was like, well, Mama, or, the bear did cocaine. Are there any bad effects and stuff? Yeah. And Suri's like, Mama and Papa Bear would be very upset with the whole like,
I think the problem was, it was just like, was Henry supposed to be on coke, like, or like reacting to it? Because it was like, he wasn't. I don't think.
Well, I think it's like they had like the big mouthful and they immediately all spit it out. So I'm assuming it was kind of like since they spit it out so quickly, but then again, somewhat still dissolve.
Yeah, but that's what I wasn't sure if he was supposed to be coked up.
Yeah, I don't think he was really supposed to be coked up because they spit so much out.
Got it.
Would be my thought. I don't really know. Yeah, because like that's one thing. Also to like see kids do coke, but then also have them be high as shit. I'm like,
you don't cross a line.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what it is?
That's the line. Yeah.
So like we said, so we have the detective walking into the forest. Mm-hmm. We have the drug dealers and the teenager being led by the teenager to the gazebo,
and the teenager's giving like a heart-to-heart about like his dad leaving him and stuff.
Yeah, and what his mom did to help him, and then we have Suri and Henry on the trail for Dee Dee.
Yep.
And then we get the EMTs arriving at the ranger station. The ranger station has some of the best scenes.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
But so the two EMTs arrive.
Which the guy, I'm blanking on his name. But
he's a TikTok star.
He's a TikToker. Yeah,
I saw him when I saw him in the trailer. I was like, I know this guy.
He's in the one. He has like all like the
It was like
a retail store.
Yeah, it was just like when they say we're like a family. He was like, no, we're not. We're all coworkers.
We're all coworkers. We're not a family. Or when he's like, when a customer says, "Oh, I'm never coming back here again," good. I don't care. I just work here. I don't like get any of the profit.
But yeah, so when I saw him in the trailer, I got really excited.
Yeah. And also, I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
And because I have laughed at him on his short videos and I laughed at everything here.
I think, he played it very well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the EMTs arrived at the station because they were just called because the teenagers called them about a concussion possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they try to open the station door, but it is being blocked by the body of the teenager that got shot by Ranger Liz.
Yeah.
So they really have to push. And it was this funny moment where it was like, the guy tries, he can't do it. So the woman's like, get out of the way.
Yeah.
And then she tries, it was like, you're doing it? And I think that guy's is very funny.
Oh, yeah, he's just...
And so like he played it very well.
Yeah.
So they finally pushed their way in and noticed the dead body. They're like, what the hell? It was just supposed to be a concussion.
Yeah.
And then I think... the guy EMT notices that there's blood coming out of the clot.
All this blood pooling out of like that one back area.
And then the woman notices Ranger Liz behind the desk.
Yeah.
And Ranger Liz is trying to, like, she's been attacked again, it seems like.
For a second, I thought she was missing an arm. She's not.
No, she's not.
She was sitting and looked like she
and then she has a gun in her hand, but she's like obviously very weak, losing a lot of blood. And she's trying to relay the message about the bear, but she can't. And then
That's what she's saying.
The guy EMT goes to the back room where the blood is being pulled. He opens the door, and I think immediately you see the head of the teenager.
A bucket falls and the head spills out of the bucket. That makes no sense.
Once again, they made this bear Jason.
Yeah, Jason, literally, because the bear clearly was eating the body, but put the head in the bucket to surprise whoever opens the door.
And so this is a really, really dope scene. It was just like, so the room is very dark.
Yeah,
the head's on the floor. And then the bear just kind of creeps out of the shadows.
Like just looking at
and I was like, holy shit. So like the EMT just slowly closed the door. It's like, we need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And then that's Ranger Liz in the stethoscope too.
Says,
the other
bear.
And she's like, oh, and they really, at the same time, they have the realization, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. And
so the bear bursts through the back room. The door falls on the male EMT and the bear's standing on it.
Yeah.
And then like, so the female EMT gets Ranger Liz out of there, puts her the gurney on the gurney.
Oh Lord, this whole sequence.
Yeah, and then like they're freaking out because like the EMT, like the male EMT is under the door with the bear on top of it, and he manages to get his bag. To knock the bear away.
Kind of like he hits the bear, but then the bag goes. But then the bear sees the bag. It's like, oh, duffel bag.
Yes,
I know what's in duffel bags. Cocaine.
And so the bear goes for the duffel bag. The EMT gets from under the door, and like they drive. Like, he jumps into the ambulance, and they drive off.
Yeah.
But this does not stop. This was so amazing. So it's like as they're driving off, the bear is chasing them.
Yeah.
And so Ranger Liz is trying to shoot at the bear, and I thought she was going to misfire again. I was terrified.
I thought she was going to shoot the EMT.
Yeah. And so the back door is wide open. So like the bear is being shot at. The Ranger Liz is missing. And then I think what happens first? Does the bear jump in first?
I think the bear jumps in first.
All right, so the bear literally launches itself into the back of the ambulance.
Driving the car. Yeah.
And then I think Ranger Liz's gurney flies out of the back of the ambulance, and it was like just disgusting because it flips over. She's obviously strapped to it, so she can't do anything. And then you just see her face being... it's just like her bare face is riding the concrete.
On asphalt. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep, and then so then the bear's now attacking.
In the back, he's attacking the EMT in the back of the ambulance, and like he kind of gets pushed into the front. Yeah, and you see that his wrist has been
like he like lifts up his arm, and like the wrist is like hanging by a thread. So you see like all that gore in his like hand, and then the female EMT is like freaking out at this point in time, and just drives right into a tree.
Yes,
and then just launches out of the dang front of the car.
I averted my eyes. I saw the gore coming. I was like, hard pass.
It was
an amazing scene.
It was a visceral, brutal scene, but it was pretty well done. And if you're cool with gore, you're gonna like this scene. Yeah.
So now we got 3 more bodies on the list.
And the bear just like hops out and then just like wanders away. He's like, I'm just a bear. It's totally fine.
And so at this time we get the detective just happened to stumble upon the gazebo.
Yeah, he beats them somehow.
Yeah. And he notices that there's the duffel bag's on top of the roof.
Yep.
And so like he's trying to figure out a way to get it. And then as he's trying to figure out how to, get the bags, we see that the drug dealers and the teenagers have finally arrived at the gazebo.
Yeah.
And the teenager goes to look for he goes to look for the drugs, and he notices they're not there. He was like, "Promise me you won't be mad."
Yeah. This was after. Was this the weird cutaway you were talking about the teenagers with the weird cutaway?
I think so, maybe.
When they was like, "We're going to New York," and it was like the 2 dead teenagers.
Yeah.
So then like
it was around this time.
I think it was before.
But this wasn't even it. Actually, hold on. This wasn't the one I was talking about either.
Oh, really? So before the. Speaking of weird kind of crappy cutaways, when they had the heart-to-heart earlier, the teenagers like, I was real awkward. I couldn't talk to nobody, but then I found my buds, and we're going to be friends forever.
That's what it was, yeah.
And then it's like, we're going to go to New York. And then like it flashes to the one teenager who's fine, and then his 2 dead friends sitting next to him. He's like, we're going to New York. And I was like,
but he doesn't know this.
Yeah, exactly. Why? I don't. That was weird. Yeah. That was a cutaway meant for humor, and I was like, this was dumb. That was a dumb cutaway.
And so now, so the teenager tells them that the drugs aren't there, and like David starts freaking out, like what the hell? And then so now we have a standoff between the detective who is on the roof with the duffel bags, aiming a gun at them, and David has his gun aimed at him, so like they kind of stand off, and then he tells him to throw the gun away. Eddie's like, just do it, man. Like, what so David throws his gun away, and then he's like, no, fuck that. I gotta get these drugs for.
It's like $15 million worth of cocaine or something like that. Yeah.
And so David attempts to go grab his gun, and the detective shoots, and he shoots off 2 of David's fingers.
Off his middle and his pinky.
Yeah, it was like, even the teenager's like, how does that even happen?
How does that happen? What are you?
It was like, you can't be that meta. Don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty funny, but yeah, it was like ridiculous.
And so David doesn't give up. He gets his gun, hides under the gazebo where the detective can't, see him.
Yeah.
And so the remaining 2, Eddie and the teenager, are told to lay on the ground. And then at the same time, you see that the bear has now arrived.
But the bear's chilling now.
Because he's come down.
Yeah.
And so like She. Oh yeah, we'll learn.
It's a female bear.
So, which was also dumb.
It was dumb. Yeah.
But
it
like,
also didn't make any sense from a
physiological
perspective.
At all. So the bear stumbles over to the 2 people that are laying down, which is Eddie and the teenager, and she kind of stands over Eddie and just flops down and falls asleep.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, they're like, "What do we do right now?"
And this is a large part of the. A big part of the movie. Oh, at the same time, we do see that someone has arrived at the ranger station as well.
Oh, it seemed pretty clear that it was Sid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was like he has this rifle that he takes out of the back of the car, and then he heads into the forest as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry. So back at the gazebo, we have the bears falling asleep on top of Eddie. Freaking David goes. They call a truce between David and the detective. David goes to check to see if the bear's alive because they're trying to figure out how to get it off of Eddie.
Yeah,
and this is where Eddie says that it's a girl bear,
female bear,
because the vagina is on my head, and it's like that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. The bear's all the way up here, my dude. Like
literally, the bear's head is at your head.
Yeah, silly. But whatever. Yeah. And they didn't want to say like I can feel its dick on my leg or something like that, so they changed to vagina on ear. Yeah. The classic switcheroo.
And so as David is checking for a pulse from the bear, a package of cocaine falls out.
Yeah.
The bear wakes up and eats the cocaine. And this is where you get the scene from the trailer where like Eddie is like, what is going on? And it was like, even the detective was like, I want to see what happens.
Like, let's see what's going on with this. Yeah.
And so the bear eats the entire package of cocaine. I think it tries to go after them, but then
starts getting snarly and starts getting angry.
And then the detective distracts it with more. So it like sprinkles more to get it away from Eddie, David, and the teenager. And then it just tosses another pack into the woods.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, Sid...
Well, before Sid, we see the other.
You're right. Yeah, we can jump back. Like I said, there's a lot of. Well,
no, there's the female.
No, this is right. No,
does he get? I'm blanking on it. Spoiler: he's going to get shot.
You're right. You're right. So after the bear leaves, there's another standoff where like because David is very serious. Is like, I need to get this bag for Sid, and then you have the officer.
The female officer who Bob has been calling,
comes, and you think that she's is his backup.
Yeah,
But no. This was afterwards.
Yeah, that's right.
It was after
they go
because
back
Sid was
to the
already there.
standoff, and then Sid shoots. Or because it's like just get out of here, go out, and then Sid and
Yeah,
he's
because
like, no, I
that's
need
what the
cocaine.
detective is like holding him at gunpoint, but he's just like, I just saved your lives.
Yeah,
just get out of here. I'm not going to arrest you.
Yeah.
And then the detective gets shot.
Yeah, Sid shoots him.
Sid shoots him, and then Sid arrives, and then like at the same time while the detective is bleeding out, his partner comes.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, y'all fucked now." And
which also makes no sense for the record. One
Adult
officer versus 3 people with guns. You know, like it just numbers. Like
Yeah.
from a pure number perspective, that makes no sense. Where there's like, oh, I'm shot, but my partner's here, and she'll take care of you. No, there's
so
3 of
then
them.
this is super dumb. So we found out that his partner is like a crooked cop.
Yeah, which kind of I didn't care.
Yeah. And then like he says that he gave the bear the rest of the.
Yeah, he like kicked the duffel bag.
Yeah, he kicked the duffel bag and gave the cocaine, the rest of the cocaine to the bear.
Yeah.
So now Sid is like, we need to get that coke because the Colombians will come after me, and that means they'll come after Eddie and his grandson.
Yeah, Colombians are gonna kill everybody.
Yeah,
I fucked. Oh, and yeah, the other guy fucked up.
Yeah. And so now you have Sid heading back into the forest with the cop, David, and Eddie. The teenagers run away.
Yep. Yeah. Like the one guy that survived. Yeah. Like I just like didn't think he was gonna live. Yeah.
And I really thought the bear was gonna take him out.
Yeah.
So these 4 are following the bear. Now we jump back to Suri and Henry. They have found the groom from the original bear attack.
Yeah.
And he's like still freaking out, because crying about his former bride.
Yeah, which totally get that he's very upset. This also happened like 24 hours ago at this point. Dude, why are you still in the woods? And why didn't you get help or do anything else?
And so the groom leads them to the cave where he saw Dee Dee, and now we get Suri, Henry being reunited with Dee Dee, and then we also see that there's 2 bear cubs in the cave,
and they're also on a fuck ton.
And they're also eating
polar bears.
And so now they're trying to leave the cave, but Sid's group is at the front of the cave, so they can't go that way. So they go out towards the waterfall.
Yeah, they go in deeper, and they see if there's a waterfall. It's very.
And this is where so now you see that Sid arrives at the cave, sees the cocaine.
Yeah,
and so they gather, and it was like, no, there has to be more.
Yeah,
and so this is where we get the flashback that I was talking about, where it was just like it jumped to because it was like, you remember what happened to that guy that we found? And it was just like it flashes to, I guess, the groom also gets killed by the bear.
But he also got killed off screen. Yeah,
but it was just like, but it was like a weird flash.
It was.
Yeah, it would have been different if like this is like just from a directorial standpoint, it was just like they're walking through, they find it, and then they keep going
instead of like a flashback.
The flashback was super weird.
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying. All any of these cuts,
were odd.
Just didn't make sense.
Yep, I agree.
So now we have this, and this is what I was saying. This is what this movie was leading to. So it's like. Suri and the kids are on the edge of the waterfall, hiding from Sid and his team. Yeah, the crooked cop decides, like, I'm getting out of here.
I'm out. Yeah, I guess. Did she live? I don't. No, yeah, she did. Yeah.
So it's Sid, Eddie, and David. They come to the waterfall as well. They see that there's another duffel bag. They also pass the duffel bag in the woods I think it's that same one that the 2 hikers, the bride and groom, didn't see. Yeah. But they find another duffel bag hanging off a branch on by the waterfall.
Yeah, like by the ledge. So yeah, it's above the ledge, but another one.
And then this is where Sid holds. He sees Suri and the kids. He holds them at gunpoint, and then like the cubs come after him, and then you have this like Suri's just like she was like, we don't care, we're just trying to get out of here.
Yeah.
I think David and Eddie step in. So like,
it's kind of weird. David all of a sudden developed a conscience here.
Once it
made no sense.
They didn't.
They were very. They were very bad drug dealers because they're not very. They're not really criminals at this point. They're just like helping out. I'm like,
it was also like, what was the turn?
Yeah, exactly. What was the turn to make him like this?
Yeah,
I guess he was just.
Like I said, I feel like maybe if the movie was 2 hours long, which it didn't need to be, there was more character development. Yeah, it was like I think they leaned too heavy into the tropes. Yeah, to have any turns.
Well, because the trope says the drug dealer needs to become a good guy at the end. So that's the trope. You follow the trope. Yeah.
And so Sid is fighting with the baby cubs, and like he's trying to get either Eddie or David to get the
For the
back.
record, Sid's a drug dealer and like the most vicious dude ever. Why did he not just shoot the cops?
Don't understand.
Well, he said they're too close. I can't get a shot, but like whatever.
So
Could have kicked the bear off
the bear arrives,
Yeah.
and so Serena kids jump.
Mm-hmm.
David and Eddie are about to jump off into the waterfall, into the water. But I think Sid fires a shot.
Well, Sid shoots the bear a bunch, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're on the other side.
Yeah,
Sid
so
shoots
as the bear's approaching, Sid shoots the bear. The Serena kids jump. David and Eddie go to jump.
They do jump, but but
in the process, David gets shot, and then the bear, I think it gets shot enough where it actually falls off.
Falls off, but doesn't land all the way in the water. There's like another ledge underneath the ledge,
and so Sid tries to, the only one still on the waterfall. He tries to get the bag. A packet falls out, and it sprinkles down. It sprinkles cocaine down to the bear.
So now the bear's Popeye. The bear's Popeye, and that's his spinach.
It started out as Jason.
I am what I am, and I'm a killer fucking bear.
And so the bear gets resurrected by the cocaine.
Yeah.
Crawls back up. Disembowels Sid, which was
Sid gets caught like
Sid gets caught on the duffel bag,
which the duffel's on a very thin little branch. Why did that? Whatever,
no idea.
Because Sid needs to get disemboweled, and the little cubs play in the organs for a second,
and so Sid's dead. The cocaine bear gets its cocaine.
Yeah. And the fact he got shot 6 times doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's a bear. Bears can survive stuff. That's fair. But...
It's Pokemon rules. He just goes to the center.
Yeah.
And so we see that Siri and the kids have survived. David and Eddie have survived, but David is bleeding out. But luckily, Siri goes to help.
This was something I liked.
It was super weird. She just popped out.
So that was a reference to Jason that I was talking about. So that's a reference to Friday the 13th. Eddie's trying to like help Jason. All of a sudden, Siri just pops up out of the water like a jump scare because that's like Friday the 13th. And right before this, Henry, he was like sitting flat, and he did the Michael Myers sit up. So they had a couple like at the very end, homages to classic horror movies, which is pretty cool. But so
cool. Siri goes to help, and then Henry for some reason just she's a nurse. It was like she could also said that to her. I think they gave this kid way too many lines.
They did give him a lot of lines
for no reason. And so we don't like. And then it cuts. I think the camera pans out to show you like the waterfall in the river. Yeah. And we don't know if Cerise's able to save David. And then we get a shot back at the ranger station. Cerise and the kids have arrived at the ranger station. They're going to head home.
And that's another, I'm blanking on it. It's when it's Cerise and Dee Dee are on a bike, and Dee Dee's just kind of like doing that creep. I think it's Orphan or something like that. Or like Rosemary, I don't know, one of those extras with like she's creepily staring at him while it's going by. I'm blanking on the horror movie, but creepy horror movie reference. I knew it was that. I just can't remember which one.
Yeah, so Cerise and the kids are walking. They made it back to the ranger station, so they're walking to go home.
Yeah,
we see that Eddie is there at David's car, but David's not there. So we're like, oh, he didn't make it. And then the cop who had left before they had gotten into the cave goes to the detective's car, who is now also dead.
Yeah.
And she grabs his whatever case files he had, and then the dog that she had been fostering for him, and just gives it to Eddie.
Yeah.
And then Eddie goes to put the dog in the car, and you see that David did.
He
actually did
and
live.
The crooked cop also says, like, hey, I called for backup. Get out of here before they get here. So there's just no recourse for the fact she's a crooked cop.
That all.
She's just,
everybody that knows is dead.
Yeah, that's fair. So she just gets to go back to the force.
And so I think Eddie took the dog because the teenager had mentioned in their heart-to-heart through the woods as they're walking to the gazebo that when his father had died, his mom got him a pet lizard.
Yeah.
And that pet lizard was his best friend. He was able to practice talking to it.
Teenagers are weird, dude.
Yeah. He was able to that lizard really helped him get past the grief of his father passing.
So now Eddie has a pet.
So now Eddie has a pet to give to his son because his mom had passed.
Yeah.
I was like, once again, it was Chekhov's lizard.
Yeah.
And so Eddie and David drive off to St. Louis to go pick up his son. And then I think one of the last shots that was really funny was, So we see Serena kids were like walking down the street, and as they're walking, they're passing the wreckage from the ambulance,
from the EMTs and everything.
And so, like, we see that cops are arriving, EMTs are arriving, and we see that Ranger Liz's gurney is still flipped upside down.
And so he's like, let's just walk around that.
Yeah.
Just don't look at it. Let's walk around. It'll be fine.
And so the last shot of the movie is actually the bear and the cubs, like, hanging out. And then you see another group of hikers, or just maybe another couple or something. Mm-hmm. And it's through the camera lens, like so they're not
like in
close.
The very beginning.
Yeah, so like they're zoomed in on the bear, and they see it's like something's not right with that bear.
Which sequel? Direct to VHS sequel.
And that's the end of the movie.
And then there's like two little post-credit scenes. There was two. One was the one when they went. David and Eddie picked up his son, and the dog ate David's fingers.
Yes.
And then I'm blanking on the other one, but it was something.
Yeah, I think it wasn't really big.
Yeah, it wasn't that big. But the fact that like David's fingers got eaten, he's like, they weren't going to be able to attach him anyway. And then credits. So yeah, that is Cocaine Bear, the bear who's on cocaine, or as the tagline likes to say, "Get in line." I still don't get it. But at the end of all of our podcasts, we like to do a quick review of our reviews and see if we changed. Mike, did your review change?
No, so it was like originally going to be a 2. I bumped it up to a 2.5 because of the scenes with with at the ranger station and then with the EMTs was amazing. Yeah. The whatever conclusion that they tried to come up with was lackluster, but I think those scenes did give it a bump to a 2.5. So I'll stick with that.
Cool. I'm actually going to bump it down to a 2.5 myself, but that's because I gave Violent Night with the David Harbour movie we did a 3, and that was a cheesy, dumb, violent movie.
And it was a lot better.
That was a lot better than this. This was still a very entertaining movie, but if Violent Night's a 3, I can't give this a 3 as well because it was better. But honestly, it was still stupid and fun. I still recommend seeing it, honestly. So go check it out. All right, so if you'd like to reach us, again, we are Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. We are the Two Meddling Kids, at Two Meddling Kids on Twitter, Instagram, or if you want to email us at twomedlingkids@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any ideas for stuff you want us to review, or you just want to say, hey, you're doing a great job, please let us know. Mike, how can they reach you?
On Instagram at Days from Legendary.
Perfect. And if you'd like to reach me, I am at EdHunt77 on Twitter and Instagram. We'll see you next week with a new movie, y'all. Gotcha.